Hi everyone, it's Renee here. Guys, I just want to tell you thank you so much for joining me on this presentation. I really honestly think that nutrition is just it's such a big part of our picture, and I want you guys to really dig down deep into this one. And if you have any questions toward the end, please reach out to me by email. My email is info at the letter U and then spell out firstfitness.com. Or you can contact us obviously at 404-445-8144. This is a big time of the year. A lot of people set New Year's resolutions. And if you are one of those people that set New Year's resolutions, if you've set one already for this year, I just wanted not to bust your bubble, but to let you know that typically by January 15th, people fail. And why do they do that? Why do people set themselves up and then all of a sudden they drop off? Well, one big thing is people when they do fail, they they consider it a loss instead of an opportunity, and then we revert back to what human nature is, our comfort zone. So I try to teach you guys, when you do come up to obstacles, instead of viewing them as, these roadblocks, as a failure, a loss, view them as the opportunities and get right back on and just charge forward. And hopefully with this presentation, that it will bring hopefully a lot of information to you. I do want you to be super successful this year, and I don't want you to be one of the statistics and fall off of the goals and go back to what you're used to, and then setting other resolutions for next year. So what I want to teach you guys, and what I do with most of my clients, is we have to know it's mindset first and then repetition, because like Tony Robbins says, repetition is the mother of all skills. So when you combine your mindset, getting a great mindset, getting your mind right, and then you're repeating good habits, then you're going to work toward that goal. No matter if it's a short or long-term goal, it becomes a lifestyle. So I definitely wanted to start with that. Now, what I want to do is I want to first tell you that we have to understand the why before the how, because if we don't understand the why, then how could we go forward with doing what we need to be doing? So, with this, I want to start off with, this is an actual cell in our body, and we have millions of them, trillions of them in our body, and they're always replicating. And what I want you to do when you look at this is that I want you to know that the cell inside is made up of phospholipids, which is a double layer of fat. And where most of our diseases come from these days, it's from inflammation inside the body. So if we're not healing from the internal, in the internal cellular level, then we can't decrease the inflammation, and of course we can't prevent the diseases. So when you're looking at this cell, and it's got the double layers, made up of double layers of fat, if you look at the antennas coming out, those are called receptors. Now these receptors look like antennas, and what they do is they listen to what your hormones are saying. Okay, and the two most important hormones that we're going to be talking about is the leptin and the insulin hormones. And leptin, that hormone, tells your body to burn fat for energy. And then you've got your leptin insulin, which is keeps your body regulated on its sugar levels. So when looking here, we control our food intake, and you see on the leptin, on the left side where it says leptin is feeding your brain, telling your body to burn fat for energy. And then you look on the far right, ghrelin, which is your stomach telling your brain that it's hungry. And then the pancreas, which creates insulin, which stabilizes your sugar levels. So everything has to be on an even balance. So what we need, the problem in today's world and what we're coming across, is that a lot of these bad fats and these bad sugars that it's causing these inflammation inside our bodies are burning out these receptors that hear the leptins and the insulin hormones that comes to your body. So when you're wiping out the receptors, what's happening is you're creating a very dirty cell. And I'm going to go back to this. When you're eating a lot of bad fats and a lot of bad sugars, what happens is that you're corroding the cell, and then the cell is now blocking nutrients to get in it, and then it can't get the toxins out of it. So when you can't get nutrients into it and then it can't get the toxins out, what's happening is it's creating a very sick cell. And then what happens it takes about 90 to 120 days for a cell to replicate and duplicate itself. So if we've got a very sick cell and it's duplicating itself every 90 to 120 days, you are creating these diseases that we see these days, where it's heart disease, you've got cholesterol problems, you've got diabetes, insulin resistance, stuff of that nature. So what we need to do is we need to put good, clean foods back into our bodies, and we need to do this. If it's taken 90 to 120 days to replicate a cell, we need to keep putting good foods back into our body for about the 90 and 120 days to clean that up. So how do we do that? So let's talk about how inflammation is created. Well, number one, it's created by processed food that contains sugar. Sugar is in everything these days, in everything. And then you've got your bad fats that's what's clogging up our cells, where these nutrients can't get in, that we talked about before. And then you've got the toxin, the man-made items that creates the degenerative disorders such as autism, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, things of that nature. And we have to control our stress levels because we don't want to have those cortisone release. So we want to keep that in balance as well. So some of the chronic inflammation, which can lead to cancer, which is a big one. Chronic inflammation can lead to cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's disease, neurological disease, arthritis, autoimmune disease, diabetes type 2, and pulmonary diseases. So I always tell, when I talk with my clients, and I'd help them in regards to going on grocery store tours, which we'll be doing shortly. Always tell to read the packages. You want to make sure that when you're going and picking out your meats, make sure they're from a reputable butcher, that all your meats are grass fed, your poultry is cage free, range free, and then all your seafood is wild caught, not farm raised. And then when you buy your fruits and vegetables, if at all possible, buy them organic, because with all the pesticides these days that are toxic, they're making our food toxic. I've even heard, well, the GMOs, obviously, and now that I've heard that they are putting actually the pesticides inside the seeds. So if these pesticides are repelling bugs, can you imagine what they're doing to the inside of our body? So I always say buy organic if you can. Now, when you're buying your extra virgin olive oils, your coconut oils, avocado oils, make sure you buy them unrefined, meaning that they're not processed. You don't want to make sure they're going through an over-processed portion, because it makes it not good anymore. And if you could buy your herbs fresh, dried, and I recommend sea salt and Himalayan salt. And you should be drinking 8 ounces of water a day. And coconut water is really great. It's got electrolytes in it. It's really good after you work out. And that's really good for hydration. Now, when you're reading packages, I'm a big, big fan of Costco, their Kirkland brand. They got a really good organic brand out there. And if you're looking at the back of your products, make sure you're reading the ingredients. Whatever it states first is what it has most in it. So like right here, you're looking at coconut oil. You can see that it's organic virgin coconut oil, and virgin just meaning cold pressed, that it goes through that process once. It's not over processed. So you want to make sure that you're buying virgin and unrefined. Now, here's some benefits of drinking coconut water. I was telling you before, it's really good about electrolytes and rehydration, especially after your workout. If you see the girl on the right-hand side drinking out of the gallon, a lot of benefits with just being hydrated. Number one, it aids in weight loss. A lot of times when we're eating or we think we're hungry, we're actually dehydrated. So like I said in the beginning, you need to drink 8 ounces of water a day. It's good with skin elasticity. It's good with muscle efficiency, or balancing your mood, your brain function, productivity, concentration, temperature control. It regulates your body, memory function, joint lubrication, bowel movements, kidney function. Just a plethora of just benefits of just drinking water. When you're buying your packaged foods, you need to make sure that they say, or they have their listing on the ingredients, 5 items or less, 5 ingredients. If you cannot pronounce it, that typically means that it's not good for you. So, 5 ingredients that you actually can pronounce. And four of my favorites that I've listed here is steel cut oats. Um, just a rule of thumb, steel cut oats is the less of the processed type oats. What I like about steel, you can't, if you're putting them in your shake, it will not blend. So you will have to probably do the old-fashioned oats. But steel cut oats is one of my favorites. Whole fat cottage cheese, plain Greek yogurt, unsweetened almond, cashew, or soy milk, and seasonings. And when you're reading the back of the packages, this is the steel cut oats. Down at the, and I know it's probably hard to read, but if you look down to your bottom right, it says whole grain oats. When you're buying products, make sure, especially wheat and grain, make sure it has the word whole in front of it, because when you're buying where it says whole, that means that it's part of the grain kernel, the bran germ, and the endosperm, which is the good part of it. But if you're buying something that says like multi-grain, that means that it contains more of one type of grain. So you just want to make sure, again, that you want to buy it and it does say whole on whatever you buy with those, with wheat or grain pastas. Now, when you're buying your cottage cheese and your plain Greek yogurt, make sure you do buy it plain. When you take it's mixed with fruits and all that other stuff, that typically the manufacturer will add sugar to it. And anytime that you take a fruit from its unnatural state, it's no longer good for you. So I would encourage you to buy plain Greek yogurt or non-fat, or not non-fat, but full-fat cottage cheese, and then add your own fruit to it. Now, when you're buying spices, you have to be careful. Here's a couple of spices that I pulled off the internet. If you look to the left, that's a Lowry seasoning. If you look at the ingredients, the second ingredient says sugar. If you read down a little bit farther, it says cornstarch, and then you can see where it says tricalcium phosphate, which is a preservative. They use that for shelf life, and you don't want that that digested into your system. Your body doesn't know how to process that. So, and this is another one. You can see the Cavender Greek seasoning and the one on the right, which I can't even remember which one this one was, but you can just read the ingredients and know that it's not good for you. Now let's talk about sugar. Yes, sugar is as addictive as cocaine. And why is that? Because your body or your brain releases dopamine, which is the feel-good pleasure chemical, and that's why sugar is highly addictive. Now, it's in everything. I mean, if you could just look at an array of things where sugar is in, um, and they have it all under all kinds of names. So you want to talk about sugar? Sugar is the scary toxic truth. I call it. Want to scare the sugar out of you. If you could actually read down this list here, you can even see just the array of things that it's not good: hyperactivity, depression, anxiety, osteoporosis, coronary heart disease, asthma, arthritis. Just the list goes on. Why you should give up sugar. And now let's talk about cancer and sugar. Now, there is a website, it's called cancercenter.com. And if you look under the where it says treatments and PET scans, when you go in, or if somebody goes in to get tested for cancer, they actually inject you with a glucose solution, which is sugar. Why do they do that? Is because cancer is attracted to sugar. And so if I didn't scare you before, this should scare you, because you do not want to put that in your diet. And if you guys want more information on that, just reach out to me and I'll give you that website. And then I like Dr. Mercola. He's got a lot of good stuff on his website. And if you go to his website called www.mercola, MERCOLA.com, there, if you go /article /sugar underscore cancer, you could read some of his research, which is backed by a lot of research and blind studies. So I would encourage you to go to that website if at all possible. Now, some of the health consequences, just by, and we're going to go through these really quickly in regards to nutritional habits. Now, look to your far left where it says what we can eat. Look at that little box right there where it says inflammatory foods such as trans fats, processed sugar, and white flour. Now, look to the right. What are some of the hormonal imbalances and the metabolic effects? Well, let's talk about the increased blood sugar, insulin, inflammatory markers. Number two, poor appetite and control increased cravings. Now look at the immediate and long-term health risk: insulin resistance, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, obesity, Alzheimer's. Why would you want to put this in your body? Why? Why? If it causes this kind of stuff, we got to talk about that. We've got to be open about it. Now look to your far left in the middle where it says high fructose corn syrup products. Look in the middle box: increased appetite and cravings, increased blood sugar and insulin. Now look to the right where it spikes in appetite, overeating, insulin resistance, obesity. And now, okay, all right. So now you're saying, okay, well, let's do something artificial. Well, look at there on the last one on the left hand side where it says artificial sweeteners and sugar free products. Now look in the middle: increased appetite and cravings, increased blood sugar and insulin, increased weight gain, something we're trying to prevent, correct? Now look to the right: spike in appetite, overeating, insulin resistance, weight gain. Guys, we've got to get smart. We've got to get educated, right? Now let's talk about prescription drugs. All right, this is something that I'm going to break it down before we get to prescription drugs. Let's just talk about the health insurance these days. Now look at it. Just below the website link, look where it says an annual premiums reached $18,142 dollars in 2016 for an average family. An average family. Now look at the last sentence. For 2016, among roughly 85% of healthcare.gov consumers with premium tax credits, the average monthly net premium increased $4 or 4% from 2015 to 2016, according to the HHS report. Okay, so let's talk about this. $500 to $1,000 premium monthly rates just to have health insurance, right? It doesn't even include you and your family going to the doctor and having to pay a copay. Now just imagine, what if you had to have a procedure done? Now usually your procedures are not even covered because you've got until you meet your deductible, which is extremely high, right? And they renew every year. So if you have that, let's go to the next one. So let's talk about the prescription pills. We just talked about the health insurance. Let's talk about it. Look at the Wall Street Journal, the middle sentence. While food and alcohol prices have risen 2.8% and clothing and accessories are up 5.7%, pharmaceutical prices have increased 9.8% in the past year. Almost 10%, people. Almost 10%. Now look down at the last sentence. Prescription drug prices increased nearly 10% or have hit American consumers for 3 years in a row. 3 years in a row. So why nutrition and not just take a prescription pill? Crazy, crazy, crazy. So I've got the top 10 leading causes of death, okay? And I'm talking here about why let's get off our prescription pills, right? Because we need to get our bodies healthy. 10 leading causes of death, and one of them is accidental, unintentional injuries, right? So if you're looking at the heart disease, the cancer, the chronic low respiratory disease, the stroke, the Alzheimer's disease, the diabetes, influenza, look at pneumonia. I've seen 2 cases this year alone of people I know. We've got to get healthy. And you know what? This slides, we're going to start talking about it. Okay, so I've hopefully scared you enough that now we're going to get focused on getting healthy. And my goal for you guys this year is I'm really going to be reaching out to you guys on typically through Facebook, so I can encourage you guys to stay on your path, your health path, your fitness path, because I really think it's that important, especially these days, because our food is so toxic these days that I want to make sure that we are all educating each other. We're all getting this new health style, we're being healthy, and we're paying it forward, and we're helping other people. So let's talk about how we're going to make it easy, because we all have busy lives, right? We're busy with our kids, our jobs, traveling, whatever it is. We need to be prepared, so that way we're not going through a gas station, or we're not going through a drive-through or what have you and making these unhealthy choices on a whim. So what do? Well, we take a day my light day is usually on Sundays, and I take a couple hours and I just do bulk prep. And when I do bulk prep, I make all my proteins, I make all my vegetables, I make all my starches like my sweet potatoes and my brown rice, and I make them all in a big bunch. And then what I do is I take my Tupperware and I separate them. And then when I'm putting them in small tuppers, what I'll do is I'll label them Monday breakfast, Monday lunch, Monday dinner, snack AM, snack PM. and I put them in the refrigerator. So you know what? I leave nothing to guess. I can grab and go. And I suggest that for you guys too. So it's just easy preparation. And I've got a lot of people that ask me about snack ideas when they're on the road traveling. I mean, you could be in sales going from one office to another. You could be flying out and you're on the road, or you're out and about in another state. Snack ideas, super easy. I mean, you could even prepare them when you're at home, bring them on the plane, and at where, if you are in a hotel room, you could put them in a refrigerator in the hotel room. But healthy snacks, I would suggest you get if you're doing your celery and your carrots, I like these little jar ideas. Or you could buy a little small Tupperware and you could put almond butter in it. You could put hummus, spaghetti sauce. I mean, there's just so many ideas that you can have as healthy snacks. And I'm going to run through a list really quickly with you, so that way you'll have that. So you could do veggies and just cut them up and chop them up. You could do apples. You could do citrus fruits such as oranges and grapefruit. You could do raw nuts. You could do seeds. You could do hard-boiled eggs. You could do low-fat mozzarella sticks, hummus, almond butter, guacamole, salsa, just a lot of things that you can take on the road with you. And I thought this was really helpful too. If you don't have a scale, you could just quickly measure by hand. A thumb tip is a tablespoon of nut butters, oils like your extra virgin olive oil, your coconut oil, your avocado oil. You could do a fistful of fruit, or your whole grains, or your tumors, which are your potatoes, and then palm sizes of protein that is usually around 3 ounces. And then I would say 2 handfuls of veggies, because you need your fiber, and the darker and the more colorful they are, the better in nutrients that they provide. Now let's talk about when you're ordering at restaurants. A lot of you guys entertain, or you just don't have time to cook and you need to go to a restaurant, to get a quick bite. What I suggest is when tell them first, number one, before you even go to a restaurant, 30 minutes before you eat, you need to be drinking 2 8-ounce glasses of water. Why? Typically, if we're dehydrated, we think we're hungry, and it's really dehydration. So you want to make sure you're hydrated. Number two, so you don't overeat when you get there. When you get to that restaurant, make sure you tell the waiter, do not put bread on your table. The less temptations, the better you will be off. Then when you're ordering, tell him that your proteins need to be cooked with light olive oil and seasoning only. No butters, no sauces. And that goes with your veggies too, because they will put butter in it to make it more flavorful. So you could just tell them to saute your veggies in light olive oil and no butter. And then when you're doing your starches, make sure that it's plain, no butters or toppings on it. And then you could just season it yourself with a little bit of pepper and salt, a little bit of salt. And now, when we're talking about we're talking about a lifestyle. We're not talking about just a few weeks or a few months. We're talking about it's a lifestyle. So how do you start? A lot of you guys ask me, how do you do it? Well, you have to commit today. You can't wait. You've got to make sure that you're 100% on board, and you want to make sure you have a detailed plan. What is your goal? What is it? Is it to lose 5 pounds, or is it to be in a size 6 dress, or whatever it is? Make sure that you set that goal and you want to work backwards. A good idea, and I always suggest this to a lot of people, is get you a visionary board and just be creative. Just whatever comes to mind that you want. What is it that you want? And you put that on that visionary board, and then you want to look at that every single day, and you want to remind yourself. So the more you feed your brain, the more you make it a reality. And then you want to find a support coach or a good mentor. You want to find somebody that you can lean into, because when it gets tough out there, you're going to need support, and you need to build a support group. Okay, now if you're part of You First Fitness or Alfredo Fit Body Bootcamp, you are part of a private Facebook page, and that's where everybody gets together and we support each other, we uplift each other, and that's where we all congregate too. Surround yourself with the right people, because you want to make sure that if you want to be successful, that you've got people uplifting you and not pulling you down. And you want to be super resilient and tenacious. You want to have that I'm going to do this or else. And then your mindset has to be right. You have to be passionate about your goals. You have to persevere for your long terms. And then you got to make sure that that you have someone that you're accountable to. Now, let me tell you, I do a lot of coaching calls with my clients, and I know there was one in particular, one that her and I went back and forth. We're trying to figure out how, because she was working out of a cubicle in her office, and the thing is all the vendors would bring in candy and cookies and you name it, and it was so tempting because that was one of her downfalls, is sweets. So we had come up, took us a couple weeks though, but we figured it out. And she found an accountability, a support with accountability friend at the gym at Alpharetta Fit Body, and then she found an accountability person at her work. So she had two accountabilities that she was accountable to, and then that helped her get over that. And usually they tell you it takes about 21 days to create a habit. Actually, it takes 66 days to create a habit. So repetition is the mother of all skill, is what Tony Robbins says. So you have to be, like I said, resilient and tenacious, and just have that I'm going to make this work if it just kills me, right? So with that being said, 2015 was just practice, right? So last year was just a warm up. Guess what? This year, guys, it's going to be game time. We're going to do this all together, and we're going to pull together and make sure you're successful. I am always here. My team is always here. I believe in you guys. I know you could do this. I wanted to do this presentation at the gym on Saturday, January 7th, but as you know, that it was supposed to be a 5 inches of snow that day, but I wasn't able to, had to close down the gym. So hopefully this presentation you found very informative. And if you need to reach out to me, like I said, reach out to me or my staff at info at the letter U firstfitness.com, or call at 404-445-8144. And I believe in you guys. I absolutely love what I do. And I just want you guys to reach out to me. I want to be that link to you. And I want to say good luck. I know you can do this. And you guys take care. And I will see you at You First Fitness